Folks, welcome back to the archived podcast and YouTube channel. Adam here from Northside Golf, and joining me on this episode, Jordan from No Return Club. Jordan, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, thank you for inviting me on the channel.
No, that's a pleasure. Jordan, how is the golf going? That is always the first question.
The personal golf.
Yes.
Yeah,
How is your
yeah,
game going?
yeah, pretty good. I play at a course over in England, Manchester, called Manchester Golf Club. Some people might know it as Hopwood, but yeah, I've been there for I think this might be my fourth year. But I play a handicap of 0.5, so to a good standard. So yeah, I've just been trying to work my way down to getting to scratch, and that's the aim. Yeah, I think this is the lowest I've been, 0.5.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I've been enjoying it, playing well, which yeah makes it more enjoyable.
Yeah. So Jordan, what's been the journey to get to that handicap? How long have you been playing golf? When did you first get into it?
Wow, yeah, okay. So yeah, I first got into it. I think I was about 12 or 13.
Yeah, right.
My granddad plays, and then also my uncle played. So that was my granddad's son, so my uncle. So he's a professional out in Germany, in Hamburg. I think it used to be Treidelberg, and now I think it's Oberhausen. So yeah, he's been a professional for maybe like 40 years or something like that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
wow.
he's been out there in Germany. So it's kind of always been something that's prominent within the family. I tried at an earlier age, but you know, when you're young and you've got football to kind of contend with, that kind of one. But yeah, as I kind of got into got a bit older and a bit into secondary school, that's when I kind of picked up golf. So yeah, I'd started then, and then my dad had taken me to like par threes courses. There's one in Castlefield, which is near me, which is Castle Hawk, which some people in Manchester will have probably heard of. So that's just like a par three course. I used to go there with my dad. The driving range, used to go there at weekends when I was younger. Yeah, and then just from that, ended up joining the club where my granddad was a member at, and then he kind of take me on the course. Yeah, and then kind of taught me the basics from there, and then had a few lessons with the professional, and then just yeah, religiously played in the junior comps on a Sunday, which I had some great memories from there. We had a really good junior section, so that was like just somewhere where you would always find me. Like I would never be in trouble, like on street corners or anything like that. I would always be on the golf course, and my parents would always know where I am, which was good for them. And then it also gave me, taught me a lot of like life values and stuff like that, and etiquette. And yeah, I think it's a good place to kind of a good thing to introduce to like kids. If you did have kids and you were into golf, because it does kind of teach them a lot without you explicitly like telling them what to do and kind of what's right and what's wrong. You'll have people that will definitely let you know if you do something wrong being part of a golf club, which is good.
So you mentioned football being sort of a little bit of a contender as well in life. Did that play, or did any other sport, was that part of your life at any stage, or golf was pretty much the dominant one?
Yeah, I think as a like a 5-year-old to an 11-year-old, 10-year-old, like football within England, if it's within your family, like that's your life. Like you pick a team and then that's you for life. Um, so yeah, that's something else that I kind of played religiously. Like any chance that I had to kick a football or anything like that, and that's what I did. But as you kind of as I got to secondary school, I kind of realised, so I'm actually not that good. So that's where I kind of picked up golf and thought, yeah, I'll give this a go instead. And then
Did
I played at schools, like on various sports teams. I don't know if that's just what everyone kind of does. You're just kind of drafted into by being part of the athletics team and football team. We did have a golf team as well. So I think later on, year 10, year 11, year 9, I think that's when I was, probably about 13 up to 15, when kind of 15, 16 leaving school. So that was good because you kind of got a day off school to go and play golf. But it was part of school, which was, good.
Nice. Nice. Jordan, we're going to dig into this a little bit more. You are sort of the human behind the brand No Return Club. And at first glance, when one looks at the No Return Club logo, it's hard not to imagine that there's a little bit of rebellious spirit in there somewhere. Is there a part of your growing up that involved sort of artistic or creative related sort of industries or skills? Like, you don't just sort of play golf for your life and then kind of really get into design, right?
No, exactly. So I really wanted to be a professional golfer, but my mum and dad kind of said, right, well, you need to kind of have a backup plan if that kind of doesn't work out. So from school, I was quite heavy into graphic design. So I did like a graphic design. I'm not sure what you would call it, but when you do your GCSEs, you kind of pick 3 subjects or 4 subjects that you do when you get into like year 10 and 11. So graphic design was one of those for me. And when my mum and dad went to parents' evening, and the graphic design teacher kind of said, "Oh, he's kind of got an eye for this. You can kind of see it within like his work that he's doing." So that kind of gave me enough to kind of crack on. And then I'd gone to college to do graphic design, and then from there went on to university to do creative thinking within graphic design. So that was like nice smile in the mind ideas. So yeah, really like conceptual thinking behind the design. So not just kind of looks for look's sake. It was kind of a concept and stuff behind it, which has kind of led me into the field that I'm in now, which is the creative industry. So I work for an agency in Manchester alongside doing this, doing creative and art direction. So I work a lot within the shoot industry, so art directing creative campaigns that I've come up with and come up with a concept and then kind of gone and executed that. And then that works similarly to actually designing as well. So sometimes we'll do like brands, some branding, and more often than not, like the stuff that falls out of like the photography shoots and videography shoots. It's kind of like layout and stuff like that. But yeah, I'd say more so now I swing into the art direction side in terms of like creative concepts and that aspect of it, which I do enjoy, and it's kind of felt like a bit of a natural progression from design into that kind of world.
Yeah, so that's the day job. When did No Return Club start to become a thing? I mean, what year was it? What was the aspiration back then? Where was the origin? How did that come about?
Yeah, so No Return Club was like an idea that I'd got in December 2020. We had like a workshop coming with work to kind of talk about like goals and aspirations and kind of what we wanted to do. So this was kind of something that merged both of my passions together. Like I love golf and I love like the design. So that's kind of where the thought came from. Like what could I do? Because I've always wanted to kind of do something within golf, but it's never really seemed possible with like the path that I took. And there's also like no jobs kind of coming up within that industry that was near me, that wasn't kind of near London, or places that in America and stuff, which there were jobs there, but there's just no way that I could go there without kind of, packing up and kind of moving there, which is something that I didn't want to do. So yeah, I'd played a round of golf with someone at Manchester, um, and he'd had a brand, and his logo kind of took my eye, and then we started talking about it. Um, so it just kind of spurred me on that bit more to like, you know what, yeah, I can do this. So that was kind of the green light to start building, start messing around with like logos and kind of positioning of where I wanted No Return Club to sit and what I thought it could be. So that's kind of where it started from.
I want to dig into the name and the brand. Oh, excuse me.
Bless you. Bless you.
So the logo and then the name, I want to separate those for a moment. I want to start with the name, No Return Club. What and why?
So, really, when I was doing like a bit of a brand name experiment, I kind of didn't want something that felt like it fit in, because there's a lot of like golf terminology that people take and kind of use as a brand name, which kind of you just kind of go into a pool of different brands, of brands that kind of feel the same, doing the same thing, which is not what I wanted to do. I wanted to kind of stand out and have something different. So like, well, I work currently, we work with brands that are within that rebellious kind of archetype. So that's a world that I'm very much a part of and like into. The brand name, yeah. So being within that kind of rebellious industry, that's kind of put me on a bit of a path on like what the name could be. So it's kind of looking at rebellious stuff that you could do within golf. So that was like no returning, like the most rebellious thing that you can do in a golf course in my eyes is kind of walking off the course, no returning. So that was kind of the idea of that.
So Jordan, so I just want to unpack golf and tradition and history. Part of kind of the idea behind Archived is to explore this idea of golf changing. I'm quite new at golf. I've played it since I was, very, very young, but like not a lot. It's only since COVID that I really got deep into it and then sort of got addicted after that. But you seem to have been playing golf, for most of your life. Can I ask you the question about golf changing and, particularly being sort of in Europe, there's a lot of history there, not saying that there's not golf history in other parts of the world, but Europe has historically, been the birthplace of phenomenal, superstars when it comes to golf. A lot of history, a lot of legacy. We're in 2026. You have you have a golf, related brand. It's rebellious. Golf's not typically a place or a sport that necessarily is rebellion isn't common. It does of course come, I think, now and then. Talk to me about your view looking back now at the history of golf and where you're at now. What's your observation around golf? golf changing or not. Would you have any comments there?
Yeah, I'd say golf has changed a lot within the last maybe like 5 years. I think prior to COVID, golf clubs, golf as a whole was struggling. Just in terms of like membership numbers and actually getting cash through the clubs and kind of being into and being able to invest that. I mean, unless you're part of like a really prestigious club, and you've got people coming from overseas to kind of pump money in there, the kind of smaller clubs really struggled. And I think like COVID really gave golf a new lease of life through people not being able to go and do other vocations that they would have done normally. Because I mean, you couldn't go and watch a football game in a football stadium, so people couldn't do that. But you could go on a golf course with your friends, providing like you kept the distance. So I think that was really good for golf in terms of getting a new caliber of people to kind of look at the sport and take it up. But I think a lot more people, say my age and younger, have taken up golf where they wouldn't maybe not have even looked at it prior to that. Where I think that's kind of opened up a new door for golf in the way that it's marketed, where previously it was all kind of polyester polos. And they all kind of look the same, and kind of the big brands, as they do, kind of dictate style. Where I think that in the last 5 years that has definitely changed with the likes of Malvern, Manners, and there's a few others. I can't remember what they're called, but they've really kind of paved the way for this kind of new wave of golf and fashion within it.
I think my next question now turns to your logo, and that's the first thing that caught my eye as well. A lot of my partner brands catch my eye because the logo is just I love logos. I love design and graphic design. So, I mean, for those that are listening on audio, you're not going to be able to see this, but for those that are sort of, watching on YouTube, the No Return Club logo is sort of really featuring this really blockhead like skull, and of course I didn't pick this up at first. The eye with the eye patch, and then the nose is a golf club, golf ball, and glove and golf tee, which you had subsequently sort of. I didn't pick up the nose and the other eye being the ball. I did pick up the club. So this is a bit of a rebellious logo in my mind. Of course, going to somewhat a bit of your design ethic, and there's a lot of really cool logos out there. Yours is pretty rebellious. Talk me through that logo and the process of getting there.
Yeah, so with the approach in terms of like rebellion, that kind of angle, it was kind of finding jump off points of different symbols or shapes throughout the many years of history that kind of sums that up. So yeah, while looking at things that look rebellious or are rebellious, there's obviously like the most historical rebellious thing that there is, which is pirates, and their kind of use of the skull and crossbone to kind of warn people off. So that was kind of something that I was interested in terms of exploring that skull, and how I could make it more golf focused. So that's what I was saying before in terms of like the degree and stuff that I'd done at uni. It was that kind of smile in the mind idea. So you would have an identifier, which is your logo, but you'd have something in there that would make you smile, once you'd seen it. So that's what I tried to do with the golf club and the ball as the eyes, and then you've got the nose, which is kind of a skewed T. So yeah, it was just kind of a lot of iterations of drawing that and seeing how that could come to life. I'd done some which were more skull-like, but I thought like the more simpler the better. I think when you start adding lots of detail and stuff into a logo, especially at small size, it kind of fills in. Which is, I did some testing originally, like the club and the ball and the nose were a lot skinnier and smaller. But when you kind of shrunk that down into size or you wanted it embroidered, it really wasn't doable. So that was kind of a new learning curve for me with the logo in terms of having that applied to like apparel, because they just couldn't do it in terms of like the size between like the shaft of the club coming through the head. Like if you put that on a t-shirt, it's really small. So just in terms of like getting that embroidered, probably not that one that you've got now, because that's was made bigger. But like previous iterations, I'd done a few, some bigger than that, some smaller than that, like size of the head, just kind of seeing what felt nice and what felt balanced. And then that's what I ended up on, what I was happy with.
Yeah, yeah. I love it, Jordan. The the range of apparel and goods that you have been bringing to the market, diverse is one word that comes to mind, and from an outsider looking in, the past six, I sort of came across your brand a year ago. We met in person late last year around October. I feel that sort of once 2026 rolled in, your offering has really sort of diversified, and some t-shirts and tees and ball markers I was very familiar with when we sort of met, and then the divot repair tool kind of was a was a feature product.
There we go. There it is.
There it is, which is just insane. Sort of the quality and the workmanship of that. And then 2026, you've had head covers. You ventured into that territory, and your apparel line expanded as well with sort of the wind shirt. Can you share with us the journey of the product range? And
Yeah,
I also feel like the future is going to, for some reason, it's going to continue to be diverse when it comes to No Return Club. What would you share about those goods? And I suppose also the concept of making, because I get the sense that you're very close to that process, and you really enjoy that. As an outsider looking in, that's kind of the vibe that I get. You love that making concept as well. Talk me through the range, the making, what's on the horizon, what you've loved to date.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first started off, so this is No Return Club was my first kind of business venture. So no one kind of knew anything about No Return Club. So as you know, like starting from scratch and kind of getting yourself out there is a difficult thing to do, especially when you're not the most charismatic person on the camera, trying to keep the attention span of millions of people fighting for those views. So it was starting with an item that we're all familiar with, which is the golf tee, which they look very different to what I have now. But I'd say that was probably not the right design in terms of like the attitude and stuff that I was building. It was a bit more traditional, but people like them because they're familiar with like the traditions and stuff of golf. Um, I don't think I have one. I don't. But yeah, that was just like a wooden tee with green and white stripes around it with no return club up the side. So it was like the first products that I'd done, and then that came in like a branded green cotton drawstring bag. So that was the first product from No Return Club. So that was my first interaction with like manufacturers, setting up design files, just making sure that sizing was as I wanted it. And then, for instance, the bags, like that was the size that I was happy with, but then I didn't realize you should weigh up like how big's the bag when you've got a certain amount of teas in it, how many teas can fit in the bag that I've designed, which is something that I underestimated. So when they first came, I wanted to put maybe like 100 teas in these drawstring bags, but when I came around to doing it, you could only fit like 50 in. So I was like, oh, great. So I just ended up having to send like people 2 bags with 50 teas in. But that was kind of a learning in terms of like how many teas can fit within a bag. And then from there, I think the next one was like ball markers. So everything that's put out on the store, I've designed it all from top to bottom. So that's from like sketches and then chucking it into Illustrator, creating the vectors, especially for the ball marker that you've got there. Yeah, that was kind of working out within Illustrator what I wanted the design to be. And then there's another software. There's multiple softwares for 3D rendering. I used Dimension and Blender to kind of get the right thickness of how I wanted it to look. And then from there, I've got a 3D printer, so I 3D printed it just to kind of see what the size was like in hand, so I knew that it was all good. And then that was sent off to manufacturer to kind of make for real. So that was a good process. That luckily there weren't any mistakes from there. So it turned out exactly as I wanted it, which is always what every kind of designer and creator wants to happen. So that was really good. And then it was kind of doing the first headwear. So that's when I've done the first cap. So that was kind of, again, a bit more traditional in terms of like the colouring. And it was a dad cap. So it was like a green peak, like the top of it was cream, and it had like the NRC kind of monogram on the front. But yeah, I would say that's probably not the right product to do either, just in terms of how traditional it looked. So I've just taken a lot of learnings from those products and kind of solidified what I wanted to do moving forward. Then I'd also kind of started doing those rangefinder pouches. I think those were kind of prominent and kind of a bit of a special piece that I was doing. So they're all handmade by myself. So that was something that my grandma taught me to do in terms of sewing. But that again was loads of trial and error, loads of prototypes using like off-cut fabrics, just making sure that it fit my rangefinder, which is quite a chunky one. So I mean, if it fit that one, it'll fit them all. Yeah, and then just experimenting with fabrics there. So as I said before about previous products being a bit too traditional, it's kind of taking that rebellious aesthetic and kind of thinking what that could be. So that's where kind of the ripstock fabrics came in. Just looking at fabrics that had a bit more about them in terms of their aesthetic and the feel and stuff. So yeah, I just started using fabrics like that and seeing how they worked, and they went down really well. Yeah, I really enjoyed making those. It just take a long time to make, but while you're juggling everything else, it's kind of tough. I think that might have been it for my first year. Yeah, and then year two, I kind of started doing head covers. So that's another thing that I sew as well. I think I've got some of the new ones somewhere.
Were head covers, or
Oh yeah.
were they always part of the plan? Jordan?
Yeah, definitely. So it was accessories that was the start. That was like the jump off point, and then
Yep.
my end goal is to do apparel and accessories. So that's kind of the territory that I want to be in.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, the accessories was my entry point into it.
yeah,
Um, so that's kind of what's led me up to now. So yeah, we've done the head covers, and then the divot tool that you've got there. So I wanted to do something that wasn't traditional in terms of, you've got your two prongs and it's kind of gradually decreases in size as it gets to the top. I wanted to do like a single prong, and then something that was really interesting in terms of like just the shape of it. So it's kind of inspired by a drill bit that you'd normally drill like a screw in with. So this kind of is elongated out, and then you've got kind of the prong that would go into the ground and repair the pitch mark.
yeah,
So that was a really cool process as well. So that was taking like the basic shape of like a square and kind of distorting it, and yeah, kind of designing it in terms of what I wanted that to look like. So I've got quite a few iterations of what that started off as. But yeah, to kind of get to that, and then kind of outsourced the CNC milling file design of that, because I don't have the software for that. The amount of softwares that I've had to learn to
yeah,
run a business and design stuff, yeah, I think I've exhausted that for the minute. So yeah, I outsourced that, and then I was given the file that a CNC machinist could take, and then the drill and that would just make it. Yeah, so that was a cool process,
yeah, yeah,
but a very long one.
yeah.
It
I
took a
mean,
lot longer than I thought.
it's an impressive item. And Jordan, one thing I have noticed, which I really enjoy when I follow you on Instagram, is the care and the effort that you put into sharing the journey of the making process. And clearly, that doubles up as a bit of a sort of a teaser process as well, right? So,
Yeah.
um, how how has your journey in social media evolved? What have you learned? It's pretty important, isn't it?
Yeah, it is important. It's a very powerful tool as well. But there's so much that I don't know or I don't understand. I mean, yeah, there's loads of YouTube videos and stuff about like visual hooks and all that. Just kind of think the essence is to kind of capture people's attentions as quick as you can and make them stick around. Um, but yeah, there's a lot that I still need to understand about the social side of it. I mean, I come from a very design heavy background, so my posts do look quite polished. I've just got to kind of be wary of making it too polished because people kind of switch off from it. They like the rawness,
Mm.
which is something that I've learned. I think I did a ball marker with a brand over here called Sync Golf, and he'd made these really beautiful brass score ball markers. So I documented the process of like just photographing them and videoing them, and then showcasing how like I'd mask the ball marker to look like it was kind of floating against a black backdrop. But then I'd have like an LED light, so you could have like a light leak across the ball marker. So just kind of showing that process of just kind of messing around and seeing what you could make. Because I think that's an important side of it. Like you've got to have fun doing it. You don't want it to feel like it's a chore and you've got to do this for social. Yeah, I do like the exploration of what something could be. Like I'll have an idea and I'll try and do it, and then something will spark off the back of that, and then it's just kind of that creative process, which I do enjoy. But yeah, I think documenting is a big part of it. People like to see everything that goes on behind the scenes, and how stuff has come to fruition and how it's come to be. And that's been backed up with the head cover designs that I do as well. Like people love to see the process from start to finish, just laying out the fabric, and then cutting it all, and then chucking it onto machine and building it, and then you've got the final um, the final piece, and so people love to see that journey, that behind the scenes, the making of, which I found looking at other people's like process, but on Instagram and TikTok, like some nights I'll be scrolling, and then you'll just have like maybe a watchmaker like making a watch from start, or like someone who's into like the leather goods, and they'll like cut a leather block out, and then they'll like cut all the holes out and feed a needle through it, and then you can just kind of see it coming together, which
Mm.
is quite magical in terms of like taking something from scratch, and you've got this object that you didn't think was going to end up the way that it has. So yeah, that's something that captured my attention. So I thought, let's see how I could do that for the No Return Club, which it seems to have gone well the last couple of drops. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think they've lasted more than 2 days.
Yeah, absolutely. There's also there's also your outer wear, the sort of new item of apparel that you've got out there, which I noted that for your socials you took a bit of a different path with that, if I'm not mistaken. Um, it was almost movie making like,
Yeah,
certainly
yeah,
certainly a different style to some of the previous stuff. That was really cool. How was that experience?
yeah. So that was something that I do in my 9 to 5, quite a lot in terms of, but we work predominantly within footwear, so it's kind of taking the footwear products and creating a campaign off that, to kind of create a bit of a world that it would sit within. So I would say that leans more into the stuff that I do normally. So it was the same approach, kind of working on the tease assets, how we could kind of um, get a little bit of intrigue within there. So I kind of just posted like the fabric swatches. So you've got like this really beautiful purple color,
Mm,
which again, the choice of color for that, I wanted something to stand out, not something that is expected within golf, like your greens and your creams and your blacks. Um, and navies kind of thing. So yeah, I wanted colours that would grab people's attention and be a bit more of a statement piece, which I think is a good thing to do when you kind of launching a new product, because you want it to grab people's attention. So that was kind of the idea in terms of like the colour. But yeah, in terms of the tees, I did two shoots, one indoor, one outdoor. Um, just with my friends, as the models. One that could play golf, one that couldn't. And yeah, my friend Sai as well is a videographer, photographer, and does DOP on a lot of video shoots as well. So he's helped a lot in terms of like capturing the content, and helping me with the grade on stills and on video. So that's kind of been really good, just to kind of take my learnings from what I do normally and apply it to No Return Club. So I just got loads of bits of content from that. Like I'd had like a deck in terms of reference of what I liked from like a totally different hobby or kind of genre of creative or design. Say if it's like outdoor or if it's within football, but there's like a really nice composition that I'd seen, and I thought that I could create it through golf. So it's just kind of taking that and trying to see what could work when we're on the location. And just as I said before, just kind of have fun with it, just experiment with it. It's kind of nice to have like a bit of a rough idea of what you want, but then kind of just seeing what works on the day. I think you get a bit more raw and genuine stuff from doing that.
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I think from the outdoor shoot, I think the video stuff that we got was was really good. It was super foggy as
Yeah,
well.
I
Um,
noted that.
where we got yeah
It
we
was a bit
got up
Game of
there and I was
Thrones
like, oh
like
my God, I don't
in
know if
some
we'll be able to do it.
areas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Which I think kind of added to the kind of mystique and attitude and stuff of the brand, where it kind of being not like super polished on a golf course, blue skies and kind of that aspect. Yeah, and then the more indoor stuff, which was a bit more style focused, a bit more elevated, a bit, and kind of add a lot more attitude to it, which landed well. I think people really liked that. I got good engagement and stuff on social. So
yeah,
yeah, that was good.
yeah. No, it was good. Well done on that. On on the concept of engagement, Jordan. I suppose the last question I wanted to ask you wanted to sort of get your um, get your views and observations around this. Again, just from me looking from the outside in, um, you've certainly invested in and have a bit of a passion for community and building a community and getting involved in events and other things. What's the strategy there? What do you enjoy about that part of the business and the brand? What you take away from that? What you enjoy about that part?
Yeah, so I'd say the part that I really love is that you'd have people that come across your brand for the first time and they like the logos caught their eye, and then they kind of come onto the page and they like everything that you're doing, and then they might not buy anything, but they'll message you and say, "Oh, I absolutely love what you're doing. Love the brand. Keep going." Which I think for someone that doesn't know you or hasn't seen the brand before, I think it's pretty amazing to get that kind of feedback. Then also with like the events, so I did one last year at Fourth Flight Festival, which was in Bristol, and I'm doing it again this year. But that was like my first kind of taste of working within the events industry within golf. But that again was a really um, cool and interesting part of it. Like you're meeting people that have come for the day and they've never heard of your brand, but they're like so interested and they want you to tell them more about it. And they really want just kind of wish you well and kind of want you to do great with it, which I think is unreal. And then I'd done my first event just to kind of kick the season off, which was like a season launch party. So that was at an indoor golf simulator in Salford Keys. So that was like the first time that I kind of put out an invitation to people to kind of come along within the area and just kind of kick off the season. There's a few competitions. Just kind of meet people, and then
How did
people
it go?
that kind of like the same thing. Yeah,
Was it
really
good?
good. Yeah, really
Yeah.
good. Yeah, awesome. It's really good seeing people that have kind of supported the brand, but I'd never met or seen their face or anything like that. Maybe they had like a picture on their Instagram, but I've never actually seen them. And then they kind of mentioned who they are, and it's like, oh, amazing! It's
Yeah.
amazing that you've actually like come to an event. And yeah, it does warm your heart. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
it's been really good.
Yeah. And look, that's a pretty cool feeling, isn't it? You will, assuming you're going to watch and listen to a few more episodes after this one, you'll see one with a mutual friend of ours, Pat from Concrete Links Co,
Oh
where
yeah, I've already watched those.
yeah, there's another one coming out shortly, and um,
Lovely.
he mentioned in the recording that he saw someone wearing your gear not long ago
Oh yeah, he sent me the picture. I was like, yeah,
out in
that's nice.
public. Yeah, which
Yeah,
is
just
awesome.
getting
Is
about Manchester. I was like, yeah, I rate that.
It's awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, Jordan, um, really great to have you on, and love what you're doing. Love the brand. Love having you in here at Northside Golf. way down under in Australia. Looking forward to when we catch up again in person in September. I think it is. We're going to go have a hit of golf. So for now, thanks so
Got
much
your
for
head
joining
colours as
us.
well.
Yes, that's exactly right. Can't wait to get them in here. Really looking forward to that. Looking forward to that. But yeah, for now, thanks for joining us on the archived podcast and YouTube channel. We'll chat soon.
Yeah, thank you, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.